Folks, welcome back to So Bad It's Good, presented by Betches Media. Today, this is a Make-A-Wish Foundation moment for me. I have been doing the show for 4 years, and it's funny because from the very beginning, I've wanted this person on. And each year, and you know if you listen to the show how pathetic I feel doing this, I hate DMs, opening them, sending them, anything. Yeah. Each year, I'll send this person a DM. And it's not really even so she reads it. It's more to check in with myself as the years have gone on of just where I am in life. And this week, while I was sick with my sinus infection, I said, why not give it another go? And she opened it immediately. I think she immediately regretted it. But regardless, I got her to come here today and be on this show. But there is a condition here. I need you guys to do something for me, especially if you are overseas. Is that she is doing her show right now. It has been a world tour. Like, screw Taylor Swift with the Eras tour. This is the actual tour that you need to see. Of course, our guest is the one and only, the legend, Michelle Collins. She is doing 4 nights in Soho, in London. You can find all of these ticket information at michellecollinslive.com. And also, you can sign up for her Patreon because she now does her daily show there as well. I was a huge fan of her Sirius radio show, but to me, she is a legend. She is somebody that deserves a late night or daytime talk show. We've seen her on The View, of course, her numerous Watch What Happens Live appearances. I remember back in the day when she did the after show for 90 Day Fiancé, and what a train wreck that is. But regardless, I could go on and on about her credits because there are so many, but I'm so excited to talk to her for the first time. Please welcome Michelle Collins. Thank you so much for being here.
Ryan, if I would have known I was getting an introduction like that, I would have put so much makeup on for you. I didn't know that that was going to happen. And now I actually feel like we need to stop the show. Let me put eyeliner on for you. And again, I feel now I'm a bad person because I have not a stitch of makeup on. I cleaned my house all day today. I had a very long day. And this is my way of rewarding myself after working hard today, is talking to you.
Well, you're like my ice cream binge. It's like a way of rewarding yourself late at night. This will fill the sugar rush. By the way, can you tell the people where you're at right now?
Yeah, so I'm in Amsterdam right now. This is where I've been living for like a year and a half around. Somehow the government let me in. Not quite sure how that happened, but I'm in my beautiful apartment in Amsterdam, and I had friends visiting. So you know when friends come and then you have to clean your hovel because they obviously want to come over. They want to see where you live. And then I get into full J-Lo Made in Manhattan mode. Like there were things I cleaned today that probably in a year I didn't even know were there. And I was like, I should probably clean that. So that I ruined my manicure, but so you can see my beautiful apartment. It's like a good time to look at it.
The spiders were like, oh no, she finally found us after a year and a half.
I have a better one for you. Speaking of spiders, do you know that I had a slug in my kitchen the other day? I've never had that. That's like some Dutch stuff. I know. A little one. But
will the slug be making appearances on Michelle Collins Live at all?
Slug is opening for me in London. That's right. Slug is opening for me. You should, by the way, come co-host with me one day. I didn't know that this was such a thing. Please, it's my pleasure to have you on the show.
Oh my God, Michelle, are you kidding me? Anytime. Like I told you, like what a hero of mine you've been throughout the years. I do want to ask though, just Amsterdam. Why did you choose, for the listeners that might not know, why did you move to Amsterdam a year and a half ago?
It's a very simple answer, which is that in the EU, because I wanted to fancy myself a European. Truth be told, I wanted to go back to my roots because my family was displaced, however many years ago. We are not Dutch at all. And this country has the easiest visa for Americans. They have actually a thing here called the DAFT visa, which is the Dutch-American Friends Treaty. That's real. And anyone who ever wants to move here, you just basically have to start a business. I'm not sure if they'll let me stay. I doubt it. But I'm taking full advantage of those 2 years that I'm here.
We just visited Amsterdam about a month and a half ago, and it was the best, most beautiful. I'd never been before, and we went to Stockholm right after that to go see Taylor Swift. But I got to tell you, Amsterdam of the two was my favorite. There was such a romance to it. The canals, the walking around. It was really just, all kidding aside, it was so amazing. The museums were incredible.
No, it's actually wild how pretty it is, and I know that I'm gonna be broken when I leave because nowhere in the I love America. I was born in the US, but the beauty of this town, it's really unrivaled almost anywhere else in the world. And you get numb to it when you live in a place like this. You'll be walking, not paying attention, and you look up and it's like a Thomas Kincaid painting. I'm going, what the hell is going on here? Like this doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. The people are good looking. The good thing is the people are completely charmless. So as an American, it's nice to be in a place where you actually have charm, and you have some sort of leverage, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was like at the Van Gogh Museum and I'm like, this is what I'm meant to do. Just like walk around
Yeah.
museums and learn about things. I was like, this is really an incredible way to spend your time. And then everywhere you looked, there was something scenic and beautiful. And then I was like,
Yeah.
maybe I can paint. Like I've never painted in my life, but I was like,
Oh,
this inspires me to pick up a brush.
you could paint in a minute. And if it gives you any inspiration at all, I know that at the very end of and they say Van Gogh, by the way. That's not criticizing you, I'm very much criticizing them. But I know at the end of this museum, they have letters up describing how poor Van Gogh died. Like he had nothing. He
Yes.
was, he died totally broke. No one knew him.
And
And
no
to
one went
me,
to his funeral. There was only a handful of
yeah.
people that even made it to his memorial.
So that gives me hope with the Patreon. Like maybe it'll blow up after I'm gone. I feel you just never know. Like you never know, Ryan. Like this could be like a
Well,
big thing in 100 years.
do you ever think about that, about how much content you've put out there throughout the years? When you're gone, your opinions on Bethany Frankel will outlive
Oh,
you and potentially gain some sort of traction 30 or 40 years from now, if any of this still exists.
please cancel my corpse. Knock on wood, spit 3 times, but just cancel my corpse. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I want.
They dig you up and burn you at the stake. It would be
God
amazing.
forbid.
Um, so the tour, which you've already been on, and I missed the LA date because I was in New York. It is the
Oh.
big natural tour. You've been selling out everywhere. What made you want to do a live show? Like I used to follow you where I was like, oh, she's playing at Joe's Pub or she's playing
Yeah.
here. You're doing this tour of like these beautiful theaters. What inspired you besides money to do this?
The money certainly did not inspire me. First of all, let me just make it known because I'll tell you right now, it's not enough to inspire. Maybe like a used Kia. It may have inspired like a used Sportage, maybe.
Wow. Wait,
That's
you're
actually a
telling me
lot.
I can get a Kia if I perform?
Can I be
That's
honest? I
amazing.
think I'm like really overshooting there. I think it's quite lower. Like I used to drive a Mercury, so I don't want to disparage the Mercury corporation. But I've been doing stand up a long time. I had last summer a 5-night stint at Joe's Pub, which was really fun. And I think that actually being here, because I don't perform in this town and the people are so painfully unfunny, that I just really, I hope the government hears that every time I talk shit, I'm like, oh, they're definitely listening. But I wanted to go back to where funny people are and to where I'm appreciated for being off the cuff and being fun. So I started working with a new manager. He put this incredible tour together, and we're actually coming back to the US in September. I think we're doing 6 or 7 more cities, which we'll be announcing in about a week or two. So follow me on Instagram for those cities. But the shows were really fun. I mean, the crowds were amazing. I'm very lucky, really.
Yeah, because I see you're already doing Virginia and Ohio when you come back. So this
Yes.
really is kind of the Michelle Collins Eras tour in a sense, is that I feel like you're going to keep this going through like 2026 at this point.
Yes, same jokes, re-releases of the same stories. Just me wiping snot constantly on stage.
Oh
Did
my
you see the
God.
video of
Did
her?
you? I was like, oh my God, stars, they're just like us. I've been wiping snot all week. And I was so excited
Beautiful.
when Taylor Swift was a big snot loogie and then she just threw it down. I was like, yes.
I'm not a big Taylor apologist. I'm someone who attempts to stay out of the fray. For me, that was the one time I would defend her. She's out there on stage. She has no tissues. You know how frustrating it is when you
Yes.
don't have a tissue. You can't do anything. You have to use your hands. That's it. I mean, I carry tissues at all times, but I was on her side for that snot moment.
But Taylor is such a business person at this point that I feel like this week, if it's continuing, she will have a Taylor Swift snot rag and then she'll
For
sell
sure.
it as merch. She'll sell it. And then kids all over everywhere will start just blowing their nose constantly because of Taylor.
Isn't it horrible? Isn't our culture horrendous?
It's
When you put it
amazing.
that way, it's
No,
horrible,
but it's
horrible.
so true. She will have
How
a
was
snot
her
rag.
show? Sorry to
I
interrupt.
gotta tell you,
wanna
it
hear
was
more.
amazing. It was exhausting. I was there the first night with Ronnie and Ben were there, who I know you just hung out with,
Yeah.
and it was exhaustive, but it was amazing. I didn't expect it to be the production that it was. It was like 10 Phantom of the Operas combined. And I was so exhausted by the end. But it was also just so interesting to watch 66,000 people. And I don't know if it was Stockholm. The audience was so polite, but so loving. But it was very impressive, and it was corny at times, which I loved. Like I loved it was so high school theater kid, which I was. So I loved that element of being proud, but also just the script of it all I was like, how do you even piece this together?
Yeah. Well, you almost sold me on it, truly. What sold me from that pitch was how polite the crowd was.
Yeah.
Because for me, and I've told the story before, but I saw Beyonce in Warsaw. I flew there because the tickets were cheap. I had amazing seats, and
Yeah.
I love her. And it was the most polite audience, which for me, I loved. I like a nice audience. I like people who know when to sit and then they know when to stand. That to me is a skill, because I don't want to stand the whole time, especially if I have a seat. Like I want to sometimes recline, and they knew soft song sit. Some places don't know how to do that.
Oh, not at all. In fact, America, like I've seen fights at a James Taylor concert. Like it is insane.
Please.
It does not matter the easy. Well, Michelle, I'll tell you what, this actually shocked me. As I get older, I get more scared about like the little old things that happen to you. I went to a Sarah McLachlan concert at the Hollywood Bowl a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I love Sarah McLachlan. It was the first concert that nobody stood the entire show. It was like we all agreed. And a part of me was like so thankful, but part of me was like, oh, is this what it is? Like the music that I appreciate from yesteryear, we all just agreed to sit from here on out in our lives?
I'm going to say why I think that happened. 2 reasons. There really isn't a single ASPCA song I could see myself like, up and being like, yes, bitch, sing it, So that might be the first problem. But also the Hollywood Bowl, for those who've never been, is a very anti-standing. I've never stood for a show there. I mean, because of the way the seats are kind of configured, it's really not possible to stand there. But I know what you're saying. It's like if the vibe was low, then that's not good. If the energy was low.
I mean, listen, it was all it's not the kind of music you're wanting to mosh to anyways, but it was just very interesting that I was like, oh, we're just really going to sit. Even like the popular songs, we will remain seated. But overseas, I was like, is this how all overseas concerts are very polite, because they were just as into it as American audiences. It's just that we weren't stampeding over each other to get in and get out.
Let me say something. God bless. That's how it should be. I always respect a line. And I actually think most Americans also respect a line, but I'm the first person, if someone cuts me in line, you don't want to cut me in line. You don't want to, because I say something, I come in hot with that kind of thing. So I have actually a story in my stand-up show about a Dutch woman who I got into a fight with at a Zara in like the wealthy neighborhood here. And it just totally, and for the first time, I was just an innocent bystander. I was just standing in the return line. I tell the whole thing, but she kept pushing me, and that led to an entire situation. Like, I'm in line. We're all in line. We're going to the same place. Why are you up on me? Like things like that. Personal space. I need it.
How did the situation end? May I ask, or do I have to go to the show?
You're going to have to get tickets. Michelle Collins live. Listen, I can't give everything away, Ryan. It's got some of this stuff has to be saved for the stage.
Rest in peace to that lady. Don't start none, won't be none.
I wish.
That's at a Zara, at a Zara of all places.
Well, Zara is my American Gladiators biodome. Like that, Zara is really the one place where I think all rules are tossed aside. It's almost like old school sample sales in New York, which have gotten a little bit more civil, I think. But yeah, there's just some, and the clothes are so delicate. Like if anyone is going to try to grab it from your hands, it's tearing in half. Like those kids don't make good quality clothes. That's for the way you're paying for it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm very off Zara at the moment. I'm just like, the prices have gone up. The quality's gone down. The sizing is completely backwards. I'm pausing on it.
Yeah, I've taken a pause on Old Navy recently, but that's just because I keep gaining weight. And it's not, there's no part of me that's like proud of having Old Navy skinny jeans and Old Navy bigger Ryan jeans. Like it's just, there's nothing proud I have of that, of having like different size Old Navy wardrobes. It's like, I'll just wait till I, even out.
You settle. Well, Old Navy is a great place if you are someone who is like bigger.
Sad? Oh, bigger, yeah.
Really sad, because the prices will just cheer you right up. No, but if you're bigger, if you're like a ladies, speaking for myself, if you're like a ladies XL, it's the one store that I can walk into and feel small, because they have all the sizes in that store. I'm like, oh shit, I'm in a bad mood. I'm going to go to Old Navy. I need a little pick me up. Let me go buy some leggings at Old Navy, because they go up. And I think all stores should, for the record. I think it's a wonderful thing that they do that.
Well, I will tell you that Old Navy, like their jean sizes are a complete lie. Like
Oh,
what might like a 36 male over there. If you go try to get a 36 at another like reputable store, you're not going to fit into a 36 at that store. And that is so upsetting. And it's like a realization moment where the floor drops out.
100%. I have beef with the Summer House girls because if you remember this season on Summer House, they went to Old Navy
Yeah.
for this
Yeah.
like
I was so proud.
SpawnCon.
I was like, whoa.
Yeah, finally you get your day.
Paige DeSorbo is shopping at Old Navy.
I mean, genuinely, but I hope they got some money for that. And they were like, God, these jeans are so cute. And I actually fell for it because a friend of mine here has a pair of Old Navy jeans. To be fair, she's like 5 feet tall and tiny. But I thought, God, those jeans are really cute. You know what? I'm going to get some Old Navy jeans. They showed up. I looked like I was working on I-95, like I was building the off-ramp on I-95. Every pair of these jeans I put on, I looked like I'm working one of the doozers from Fraggle Rock, like a big construction worker. The cut was so unflattering on me. If you're a woman with a big ass, I don't know. For me, it did not do any favors.
No, that's what that scene was so funny because for me, it was obvious SpawnCon that they're like throwing into a scene of like, let's talk about Amanda's relationship woes at an Old Navy.
Yes.
But you could tell how uncomfortable Paige was. And like Sierra was like, oh, this is really cute. I'm like, is it, Sierra? Is it really cute?
I mean, Paige can shop at the American Girl store. She doesn't even need to go into a regular. She's so tiny. I was on Watch What Happens with her. I love her, by the way.
Yeah,
she's
me too.
fabulous.
I turned a corner on her this year.
Oh,
I was like,
big fan.
there is nothing not to like. I was like, wow, she is so funny, so on top of it. I think that she is so above the fray, and that's what I disliked about her from the beginning. But I mean, you can't argue. She just knows how to nail it.
I don't know. She's very good. She really has it down to an art, and she's nice. So that's nice.
Well, like you said, you were on Watch What Happens Live with her, which I had a question about that. There was a rumor going around that specific night, Tom Sandoval was supposed to be a guest, but it was the week that he did the New York Times interview that came out comparing himself to O.J. Simpson and George Floyd. Was there any truth to that rumor, Michelle?
Absolutely true. Yeah.
He was supposed to be a guest.
Yeah, it was going to be me and Tom. And it's funny because the last time I had been on Watch What Happens Live, it was actually in person because I had done it during COVID with Zoom guests, but that almost doesn't count to me. The last time I was like in studio was with Jax. And then I started wondering, like, why are they bringing me in with the most poisonous, narcissistic, arguably hot in some way, but I just was like, why me? Like, what? I know they probably want some a comedic person there to kind of soften, I guess, some of the questions, and especially in Tom's case. But yeah, no, I think because the Times article understandably dropped out. I was thrilled. I'll be honest. I was not looking forward. Let me say this. I was looking forward to being on with him because I knew everyone would watch. So I was, frankly, I was flattered that they would even have me on such a big night. It meant a lot to me. But I also love Paige. And I felt like, you know what, on an energy level, it's going to be better with her. And truth be told, we had the best time. It was fabulous.
You guys were both hysterical. I was rewatching it this morning and just the way you bounced off of each other. But going into a situation like that and being a host that you can react to anything at any point. You're talking to me for the first time and you have no problem at all. So this is your craft. Did you have pre-planned Tom Sandoval bits of, if he goes this way, I'm going to go this way?
Listen, I know we don't know each other well. I don't pre-plan anything. This is a result, including my stand-up shows. My stand-up shows, I plan obviously stories, this and that, and some of them, of course, have punchlines. But so much of it is off the cuff. Something like Watch What Happens, even my radio show and my Patreon show, I'll have news, but I don't like to pre-plan things. To me, it makes it feel stale. To me, the art of being funny is being able to do it off the cuff and reacting to things that are happening in front of you. So and that's why, frankly, it's a minefield because you don't know sometimes off the cuff, even just wordplay and who knows what, it's, I mean, I'm not actually worried about getting canceled, but I'm just saying for other people, I can see that genuinely being a thing. But no, I don't plan anything.
Wait, so you're telling me these 4 shows coming up in London at the Soho House, MichelleCollinsLive.com.
Soho Theater.
Sorry.
It's
Soho
okay. The
House.
Soho House is across the street, though. If you want to go afterwards for a $40 martini, you can
make it a Soho night, but you're telling me each one of these 4 shows are going to be different. It's like the Grateful Dead in a sense.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Thank you for saying that. In a sense, the structure is the same. And obviously I use slides behind me, so those are going to be the same for the most part, although depending on what city I'm in. Like in Chicago, I open the show with the Perfect Strangers theme song. one of the classics, obviously set in Chicago. I change it, but yeah, no, they're all a bit different. I mean, I try to it's what makes it fun for me. So as far as Tom Sandoval goes, I would never plan in advance for that. No. I was
Well,
nervous. I was like, I don't want to actually be too friendly with him or like funny with him because, in this day and age, even something as just being charming with someone can be misconstrued as taking their side. And
yeah.
so there was a moment with that where I was like, I don't know, am I going to be like rude to him? Because that will also make me look bad. So it was a really tough thing. I'm telling you, thank God for the New York Times.
Because he would have turned to you and been like, Michelle, you don't understand, Michelle. I was in love with her, dude. I was
Oh
so in
God.
love with her, dude. You would have had matching nail polish. It could have gone a completely different way. And we will always wonder what if, but like it was
I
amazing with
know.
Paige.
I met him. I met Tom when he worked at Villa Blanca as a bartender way before Vanderpump. That's not a joke. And my friend, we went for her birthday, I think, and he entered her credit card information wrong and it kept getting rejected. And he was like, I think your card's been compromised. She was like, oh my God. So she canceled it, had to order a new one, call the bank, do all this. And then the bank was like, no, he was entering the month and the year reversed. Like, I was like, okay. Like,
Just like OJ Simpson, dude. He would do a numbers differently. You don't even understand, dude.
oh no,
This season of
triggering.
Vanderpump Rules, which we're out of now, thank God. I'm so happy to be out of this season. Was it as much of a bummer for you? Like there are shows that bring you joy to watch. Like I got a lot of joy, even though it was like really horrible with Summer House this season. But
Yeah.
Vanderpump Rules was a slog that I just kind of felt brutalized throughout, and I think that's a Scandival after effect. What was your feeling this year watching Vanderpump?
Being 100% honest, I've never been like 100% on the Vanderpump train like a lot of people are. I've always watched it, but there's a reason I left Los Angeles. I always say I'll go back to LA, when if like the late night show comes through, I will be
Yeah,
happy to live. I'll live in Pasadena, I'll live at the Americana at Glendale, and I'll make my life. I'll go to the Home Goods at Brand. You live in LA,
perfect.
obviously, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So those places. I left LA because of people that are on Vanderpump. So to me, sitting an hour and then having to watch these people as part of my job, technically, it's not fun for me. I don't love it. Same with The Valley, which I did end up watching. The Valley was better because it was fresh. There were new people. But at
Yeah.
some point, these people are just too old. And what's interesting to me is it happened with the Housewives, obviously. Like if you look at the Housewives of New York, they kind of aged out as well. And the network brought in these fresh young girls. Whether the show is better or not, I don't know the answer to that. But the truth is, why are they not just bringing here and there some new people in? I just don't get it.
Exactly. Like there are new stories to be told. You cannot tell me that there are not new fascinating relationships or new fascinating women to build shows around. There's just no way. And I will go one step further with Housewives. I think there should be an age, like you have to be at least 40 years old to be on a Housewives show.
100% agree. I think it's still young, but I agree 40 for sure. Because the young ones, like, what are you bringing to the table? New money? I mean, I think the money thing, it is fun to watch them be wealthy, obviously. And when they bring the Ginas in those season, that's no fun. Like seeing Gina in her
I don't want to
townhouse,
feel bad. Like I felt so
Yeah.
bad for her because it was
I know.
like it gave the other ladies something to pick on every year.
Oh, I know they're so horrible. I know, but I'm excited. When is OC coming back? In like 2-3
OC's
weeks.
coming back in like 3 weeks, and I am
I love
so because
OC.
the trailer looks amazing. Did you watch the trailer for the new season?
Of course, yes.
I feel like that deserves just a great overall season, and we might get it. And just I like when my mind kind of daydreams into situations like Alexis Bellino is dating John Jansen now, and Shannon Bedore, after she ran into a house, after leaving his house, has to watch that all season long.
And do the breathalyzer with Archie in the back and whatever else she's putting in her body. And then it's going to be a phenomenal season. I felt it. I thought the trailer does not lie. When you're getting the buzz from the trailer, you can feel the chemistry, the energy. Alexis coming back was genius. Genius. This is our WWF. This is all we have. It's the closest thing we
This
have.
is my gorgeous ladies of wrestling right here.
Yes.
This is amazing. And the fact that I feel like for Shannon Bedore, though, this season is like Bravo's version of waterboarding in a sense. Like, how much can Shannon Bedore like withstand? It's like Chuck Yeager flying a jet and pulling like it's too much. I feel like she's gonna bust at some point because this seems like how does she go from dating John Jansen to having to be on a show with his new girlfriend who is saying in the trailer that John potentially is her forever person?
I think when Shannon gets her checks, she'll be just fine. Shannon has gone through, it's a job. Her job is to be involved in drama. Amazingly, she has done this nearly every single season. And I don't know, I feel like that we've seen her go, I think, through worse things than that. I think her divorce was harder. I'm being honest, like I
No,
honestly think the weight gain was hard for her. Like we've really seen her in very vulnerable positions.
I was thinking back to old seasons with her and her first husband. And like, do you remember that season where they went to a hotel to finally like make love again? And she had to pound vodka to do it. And the cameras were like, or even with like Dr. Moon when she was like, or like at the gym showing her like rolls. And I was like, she has shared so much on this show.
Listen, when she's going into that Old Navy, you know you're going to get a good season. That's all I'm saying. When Shannon's going in the Old Navy, you're getting a good season. She got skinny again, so I'm a little upset, but we're going to make it work. We're going to
Shannon goes into an Old Navy. She's like, Paige DeSorbo, what are you doing here?
Yeah. No, anyway, I like Shannon for the show, even though I find her annoying, and I love Archie. Who wouldn't?
God, this Archie has like talk about like somebody that's been through a war. I mean, Archie has seen everything. Archie was in the car when she ran into that house. Like Archie just is probably so worried at all times for his own personal safety and for Shannon's.
I do think that she has him blowing the breathalyzer and like the kibbleometer is just like, we're not starting the car. Too much kibble. Poor Archie.
That's a dark thought that Shannon's had a couple, so she makes Archie blow into that breath
yeah,
thing.
that's what I'm saying.
Oh my God. That's a circle.
We love Archie. Yep.
What was the first reality show that you fell in love with?
Ooh, that's a good question. You know, I love The Real World.
Me too.
And that was the best.
That was my first.
I think we're like around the same age. Yeah. I love The Real World. I loved Real World London because I've always been like an Anglophile, loved London. And I loved that Neil. Remember Neil who got his tongue bitten off?
Yes.
Remember him?
Oh my God.
I Google him like once a year. I think he's still happily married, but I'm telling you, I'm Googling. I'm not giving up hope. I love that Neil. Yeah.
Oh no, remember the guy who did the one-man show in the place they were living because he was a theater kid?
No, in London?
In London, Real World London. He was like all depressed and stuff. And then he was an actor. And so he put on his one-man show in the real world place, the loft they were living in.
I clearly blocked that. And now I understand. That sounds so embarrassed. It's like secondhand embarrassment. Would I survive? I don't know.
He was so bummed the entire season. So they finally that was like his thing to do to get back into it. And so he put on his one-man show in the loft.
I remember the fencing girl. I think that was John in the cowboy hat in London. I'm not sure. He may not have been.
John was Santa Monica.
Yes, that's right.
The country singer.
With Tom. Yes, that's right. Yeah. God, it was just a great show. And you know, the thing is, it was so pure. And we'll never have that again. Unless it's like AI. We'll never be able to go back to the innocence, really, of those kind of shows. And then even The Real World got tainted, sadly. So...
Well, that's what I was thinking. Like back then, you're right. Like there was a sense of purity, and I didn't know it at the time. But when you even watch it back, you can tell it's real. Like we can feel when something's actually real and not super produced. But my thought, I say this all the time, is that like we're now expected to take care of these people the rest of their lives. Like we have to worry where Jax Taylor gets his next paycheck. We have to worry where the Bachelor and Bachelorette contestants each season, if they have enough Instagram followers to support themselves. It didn't used to be like that. And that sometimes is a bummer about reality TV nowadays.
I have an honest question.
Yeah.
Do you actually worry about them like that? I have never lost a wink of sleep worrying about the Bachelor or Jax's next check.
It's just, no, I think it's not worry. It's just that you see them trying to find the next gig. You see them putting themselves out there. You see them trying to find another gig or get another gig or fight for another brand deal. That stuff can be exhausting at times because each season there's a new crop of people trying to make their name or trying to be a celebrity. But back in the days of The Real World, these were actually just people. Like they weren't trying to be influencers or celebrities.
I got you. No, I get where you're coming from. I mean, I was just thinking when you were talking about it, like you could say that about any comedian where we're like, what's our next thing? We need, you know, it's just, it's
but there's
like
a craft.
Freelancer.
That's a skill and a craft.
I agree with you. Yeah, well, reality TV banks off of narcissism, obviously, and our own shortcomings is, what if I went into a whole college thesis right now about what does it say about, as I'm talking, I'm like, I'm bullshitting right now out of my ass. I have no idea what I'm saying. I'm like, and you know, the thing is I learn about myself. Right.
And I'm here just trying to impress Michelle too. So I'm talking out of my ass. It's amazing.
The two of us. Let's let it go. Let's just drop the act. Come on. Let's be us.
Here's the thing that I didn't like about Amsterdam. Are you the ice situation? Like I'm a big chewing ice guy. I know it's like filthy, but like there was not a lot of ice in Amsterdam with the drinks.
I personally don't chew ice, and I've been told that it's bad for you. So
Oh, it's
I'm sure you
it's
know
not.
that.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
not good. Yeah.
I get ice. I've never been in a situation where are you mad? In fact, when I do like a glass of rosé, I always get a bit of ice. They don't love bringing it. They're always like, okay,
Yeah.
but they'll bring you ice. You just have to ask for it sometimes.
Yeah. I'm
I don't have ice
very
issues here. Where were you going? It was
It
so
was
ice
just
free.
it was just like cafes or something like that.
Mm,
I would and the other thing was I noticed like the Coke Zero bottles or whatever, the cap
yeah.
doesn't come all the way off. It's attached.
That it's so funny you bring that up because I just talked about this. My friends who came over brought me Fanta because I'm addicted to orange soda here. It's not like American orange soda. It's almost like what is the one that has the bit of pulp in it? Orangina. It's just so refreshing, and I was so thirsty after I cleaned. The cap being attached, which I've heard now is happening in the US as well, to milk cartons and stuff, they're attaching. One of the most frustrating things, I'm happy for the oceans, I'm happy for the land animals, because obviously it's an attempt to save the environment. So I, of course, respect that. But you can never get a clean pour. You can never get it back on properly. So it
Yeah.
is always leaking. That's the thing. So you'll be like, yeah, goodbye, toss it in your bag. Do you know how many water bottles have
Yes.
leaked in my carry-on from this
Yep.
bullshit? It's terrible. I assume I can curse on your show. I've done it about 3 times.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Kids, please. Really hard pivot. Who are your heroes growing up in like kind of the field
Ooh.
that you do, or like who were your favorite hosts growing up of like, oh, I'd love to be like her, or I'd love to be like him.
Well, I feel like my answers are so boring because it's who everyone pretty much says. Like Joan Rivers, obviously, who doesn't love Joan? My dad did stand up when I was a kid, not as his sole source of income, or I would have lived in a van, but he did it for fun. And he used to do like Yiddish comedy and things like that. But we grew up watching comedy my entire life. So George Carlin was like a big influence on me. So funny. And no one talks about George Carlin. Certainly young people I don't think know about him. And his
No.
stuff is so still hilarious.
Did you watch that 2-part documentary a couple years ago on HBO about him?
I think I did,
Judd
actually.
Apatow, right? But it's
Yes.
so great, and it was one of those things that's like, yeah, people kind of forget about him, and how also what was so amazing was that his career had so many like ups and downs. Like it had like
Yeah.
these down periods, but then he would go shoot way back up, and it was really interesting to see him change his like craft or his form throughout the decades.
No, the guy is an absolute genius. And funny story is that I do tell a story in my live show about Tubi, the streaming app. And then I looked Tubi up, and Tubi is the #1 streaming service. They get more viewers than Netflix because it's non-subscription.
What?
They do ads. Tubi is, I swear, look it up. Tubi, and they have the best movies. I'm like so on the Tubi train, I can't even tell you. But they have every old season of Def Comedy Jam on Tubi. So and I want you to know, because I also pay for Max. You would think, given that it was on HBO, that they would have shown it. They do not show it. And so I watched like 3 episodes of Def Comedy Jam with Martin Lawrence hosting it. You just don't see comedians like that anymore. I mean, the funniest, filthy dirty, of course, but so funny and so out there and really performing and really selling their jokes, which I think is kind of, it still happens today, obviously, with some performers, but I think a lot of comics now are kind of like, they swallow their words. They're a bit, everything is like throwaway because they don't want it to look like they're performing too much. I want people to see the flop sweat. I'm like, please, in my shows, I walk out in the Mr. Peanut costume. I'm like, what do you want from me? I'll give you anything. They make his old Navy size.
MichelleCollinsLive.com. MichelleCollinsLive.com.
You're so sweet. No, but like, I really appreciate stand-ups who are performers. Eddie Murphy, forget about it. Martin, I brought up. Martin has a stand-up special called You So Crazy that is like my Bible.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the funniest specials of all time. Hard to find, but it's on YouTube. So yeah, we like Ellen before she became a monster. Ellen's stand-up back in the day in like the 90s was hilarious. Rita Rudner, Elaine Boozler, like these were the comics on HBO who I kind of grew up watching, and they were hysterical.
Do you remember those Whoopi Goldberg specials?
I do, yes. They were, I remember them. My parents like loved them. We used to always watch them. I mean, listen, maybe it's funny. She doesn't come to mind because I like worked with her and I adore her. But Whoopi is one of the most influential. She met the Pope this week. Did you see that?
Goldberg. No, I was Whoopi Goldberg. To me, those specials are legendary. She is literally the worst celebrity encounter I've ever had. Was
No.
Whoopi Goldberg, and it was when I was like 13 years old.
Oh, I
I
don't even
was
want to hear it. I have to blame you. I'm so sorry. Just for my own career, I must.
I was a weird looking kid, but I mean, it was
Oh.
I'd never seen a celebrity before because I lived in like Kansas and like I saw her at like a Tower Records. I'm not going to tell you the story, but it was just I had never experienced something like that because she is
Oh.
to me a legend. So I'm just assuming it was just me, being a weirdo. But yeah,
I don't. It's like one of those things where I don't want to know. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because
yeah. No,
I've seen her with people. Who knows? Maybe people are in moods. We're human. I don't know.
exactly. As you get older, yes. Have you had any weird celebrity encounters throughout the years? I mean, that could even include
Yeah.
90 Day Fiance
Oh.
cast members.
God, you mentioned that after show, and it really brought me back. Like there were just a lot of feelings I just felt. I'm like, um, I was
Your
anyway.
commentary, even just with the furniture at the 90, like you would be like,
Oh my
what are they
God.
doing with this set? It was hysterical.
Wait, did I mention that on the air? I'm on the floor. I remember we had
You
a thing.
did.
I'm like, it's weird that they didn't bring me back. I had a thing. I had a thing. I get along. I like to think I'm easy to work with for the most part, and I don't like to cause trouble. But I remember there was a day, it was around Christmas time, and they brought a mug in that they wanted me to use that I guess they got at Anthropology, like some kind of Christmas mug. And it looked like the wooden setup from True Detective. It was like so scary. I was like, I'm not using that. I don't like it. It gives me witchy feelings and I don't want to use it. And this was like, me and one of the producers there we really butt heads over this mug. And I'm not kidding you. I'm convinced the mug is why they did not ask me back. I know it is. It's like Larry David style. Yeah.
Michelle's like, time is a flat circle every time she went on air. Like,
Yes.
it was great.
It was
Oh
really,
my.
by the way, I'll go to my grave. One of the ugliest mugs I've ever seen. And I'm thinking, why do I have to sip from this thing? Like, just give me a normal mug. I don't want to, anyway.
No, it was like, I don't understand Hollywood though, because I remember going like, oh, this is perfect. Michelle Collins is doing this. I never understood why it didn't continue. Like, that's the frustrating, shitty thing about Hollywood sometimes is that I sometimes don't understand the decisions people make.
Who the hell even knows? I couldn't tell you, and I've been through it 100 times. But bad encounters. I'm trying to think. I remember Tabitha Coffee had coffee breath. That made me laugh. That's a true story. I mean, I've talked about like my worst interview on Sirius, which I've talked about before, was Gillian Anderson, which really bummed me out because
Yeah.
I never watched X-Files, but I loved The Fall, and she was promoting sex education, and I've never been treated with with more disdain is really the word I'm going to use for it. Disdain Judi Dench. She came in, she was fuming. I mean, and she was with that Asa Butterfeld, or however you say his first name. I mean, he's a pair of eyes on a stick. Like the guy, he's a little bug boy, and it didn't go well for me. I have some other names in mind. I don't know. It's funny. I don't want to burn every bridge today.
No. Do you
easy one?
Do you still get like who's the last person you have gotten starstruck around?
Ooh, that's a good question. Okay. Ooh, I really have to think about that because when Carol Burnett came in, I was starstruck. But there are definitely people where there are times where I'm like, I can't even form a sentence and I can't be normal. This is like on the spot. I remember years ago, this was before I was officially an entertainer. I was I worked for the Sci-Fi Channel. It was my first job out of college. I had a PR job at the Sci-Fi Channel. Okay, getting like William Shatner's headshots. This is a true story. Anyway, they flew me out to it was the Ritz. Now it's the Langham in Pasadena. Beautiful hotel. It's where they do all the bachelor weddings and everything. And we were standing, me and these girls who all hated me. Now I get why, but at the time I was, fuming, standing in a hallway, and Will Smith was there for a wedding. And Will Smith walked up this beautiful grand staircase. We happened to be standing at the top of it. And I must tell you, he was to this day it was really heart stopping. I don't know how else to explain it. That is someone, I know he's been through a lot, of course, we all know, but he has that star X factor. I don't even know what to say. The air was sucked out of the room. We couldn't say anything. He looked at each of us. Good morning. Hi, good morning. Super nice. I didn't say anything back. I couldn't form a word to say good morning back to Will Smith. I mean, that is the power this man wielded over me at the time.
It reminds me of being on a set with Tom Cruise for the
Wow.
first time. And yeah, it is so disarming for somebody to look you directly into the eye. Like, come here. Hey, I'm Tom. How are you? We're making a movie today. Are you excited? Like it was, and I'm doing it creepy, but he did it like so
Yeah.
commanding. Where I was like, am I gonna
Like,
fall? I thought I was gonna fall down or something, and he wouldn't break eye contact, and
oh,
it was like this warm blanket over you, and I was like, oh my god, I get it. Like it was a movie star. It was wild.
yeah. I would love to meet Tom Cruise. Honestly, I would convert, if you know what I mean. Just
You,
for one, just for an afternoon. Just
you,
for an
I
afternoon with
think he
Tom.
lives in London, by the way.
Don't tempt me with a good time. Should we invite him to my show? Does he want
Yeah,
to open for me at the Soho Theater?
Soho Theater,
You're so good.
MichelleCollinsLive.com. Um,
I love you. Thanks.
what American pop culture besides Taylor Swift travels to where you are?
Ooh, great question. So here's the funny thing. I'm in this bubble because I have somehow tricked my Apple TV into thinking I'm still in America. So I watch full American television. It's kind of incredible. I see my brother gave me his cable login. You name it. I can wake up, watch, Mika and Joe, whatever you want. So I'm a go-to.
Wait,
So
how is
it's
that?
not,
Because when I was over there, I didn't have a VPN, so I couldn't like watch Vanderpump Rules. I couldn't watch.
oh,
Wow.
there's an
Oh,
app.
got it.
If you don't have a VPN, you can use HeyYou, which is an amazing app. It's like $5 a month and you get every Bravo show and it's faster than Peacock. You get them like right after they air in the States. So it's great. It's funny because this is the other problem with this town is that it's such a non-pop culture town. It's just not a place. They don't really care about movies. I saw Challengers in a very beautiful movie theater here, but I remember Les Mis came here and I love Les Mis. It's like my number one musical of all time. And a friend of mine and I said, they had the tickets to the premiere of Les Mis in Amsterdam. I said, are you kidding me? We got to go. We get 2 tickets. I look at the website. They show all the actors. It looks incredible. They show them singing. Great. We get there. The thing was in Dutch. That was not mentioned on the website. That was not mentioned on the ticket. Nowhere. And it's not a pretty language. It's a very and it's a throaty. You heard it. I mean, it's ugly.
Yeah.
So that was a shock to the system. Luckily, I know every word. So obviously I was still crying. But yeah, I don't know.
Dove da tu da pi tu da
Yeah,
ba da da. Yeah. Thank
it was
you.
a Nazi version, basically. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's hard. You know what doesn't translate over here? Consumer wise, that's very easy for me to answer because I shop a lot. There's no Sephora here, which is tough.
Criminal.
They don't have like nice places to buy bed linens. It's like IKEA or Zara Home that is it. Unless you're rich and then you can go to like the very expensive department store, but there's no TJ Maxx for bedding. There's a TK Maxx here, but they don't have sheets. That's not what you asked me, but I appreciate where I'm taking
please.
this answer.
No, this is great.
The truth is I'm very steeped in pop culture because of my setup, so it's hard to know.
Does Ben and J-Lo travel at all? Do you still, because we're on a are they, aren't they still in America? It's like a weekend watch for Ben and J-Lo if they're wearing their rings this weekend. They allegedly sold their marital home, yet they haven't officially announced their divorce or separation. So every day we get like this like wedding band watch of like, is Ben wearing his or not? Or they're showing up to events and they'll like be cordial with each other, but then they'll go to separate domiciles afterwards. And I didn't know if you have been caught up on Ben and J-Lo at all or
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, listen, I don't want to sound insensitive, but single effed up Ben Affleck is my ideal man. Like I only want him. I want him fat and divorced. I really want him looking his human worst because that to me is when he's the most attainable. Ironically, when he was on Raya looking like crap, we did not match. So maybe, he needs to further know.
Were you on like Raya, like 24/7 waiting?
We did not match. I won't even name the other celebrities I also have not matched with on Raya because some of them are no longer living. But
I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. I saw a picture of him this week. I'm sure you saw it. And he looks like he already aged 10 years. It looked like they put baby powder in his hair. I'm like, has he gone fully gray in like a week? But he looked damn good. I'm ready. I'm ready for him to dunk in with the Paps, like buying the iced coffees. Like, I really love him, even though I'm sure he's a piece of shit. I just can't help but love him and Matt.
Oh, I love him too. Did you watch the J-Lo documentary recently?
I could not bring myself to watch it. No.
Oh, okay. Oh God, Michelle, let me just tease you with something. Like she's trying to make this new album, This Is J-Lo Now or whatever. And Ben Affleck had put together this book of all of their correspondences through the 20 years of their relationship and all this poetry and all that. And he bound it in this beautiful black leather book. And so in the recording studio, she just lays it out for producers and rappers to flip through to see if they get inspiration. And Ben Affleck is like, yo, that was our like private, that's a private gift. And
God.
then he has like producers. He's like, what's up, Penn Affleck? They start calling him Penn Affleck. Could you imagine all of your love letters to somebody just in a studio in case you want to make J-Lo a hit? Like, isn't that insane?
I'm legitimately speechless, and you just made me realize that I might be the only woman willing to date Ben after this documentary, given that he's been humiliated. Think about it, like because I haven't seen it, so I don't know this horrible side to him, where they call him these names. That's a really sweet gesture of his. That
Yeah.
it seems, that doesn't seem like a nice thing she did. I have such a horrible secondhand embarrassment gag reflex that even the trailer of that documentary, I was like, I don't think I'm woman enough to watch this on. I'm not kidding. I don't know.
Yeah,
If
I didn't think it was real at first. I thought, oh, this is AI. And it was completely real. Like there was a making of and the actual movie that has this really weird plot about like tarots and like the space. Anyways, so Ben and J-Lo, I don't think they're going to last. Hopefully we can get him with you. But on that same
Thank
topic,
you.
I don't know if this is too personal. Do you date over in Amsterdam? Like, is
I
that something that
do.
you, is
Yes,
that
yes,
a
yes.
good experience or has it been, and how different is it from America?
The men are taller, so that's been very nice for me. You were here, so it's a very tall city.
Yeah.
What I have realized, I don't want to throw like an entire nation under the bus, which is what apparently is happening today. But I've talked to
Daft.
other, I know I've talked, the daft is already probably in the toilet. So honestly, let me just go for it. I've realized the hard way, unfortunately, and I know this is a fact for a lot of other expats that I've talked to, that dating Dutch men is very, very difficult. And it's not just the cheapness, although that is a part of it. I earn a living. I don't need someone to like pay for me, but it's spiritually cheap. You know what I mean? It's not just like, oh, you want me to pay for your like drinks tonight, fine. But it's like, no, your soul is cheap. I don't know how else to put it. And this is a stereotype that they like love. They like that they're like this. I didn't even realize the term going Dutch was because of how this culture is, that is based on these people and how they date. I'm serious. It's not as bad as the Germans, because I think the Germans, I mean, I had a date with a German guy who was like borderline serial killer. And then, I mean, he was very hot though. So I was like willing to give him a second chance. And
We're
then
engaged.
truly he was, sometimes you let things go for certain reasons. And his messaging was like so rude. And then he like wanted to go out again. I'm like, you want to go out again? Like, do you realize how you're talking to me? I mean, it's just, this is not reading to me like you're interested in seeing me again. It's a weird place. There are a lot of expats here though. So that's nice. And you're in Europe, so people are coming through all the time. But yeah, it's tough a little bit. I'm a bit like, I love London. London is my favorite place to be. I love British men. They're so funny. They're banter heavy. They love to flirt and make you laugh. And that's what I appreciate. And that's not really the case here, is the truth.
Yeah. Well, okay. So, but better than America or just way different?
100 times better than America. Can you imagine after that whole thing? I'm like, oh, not even a comparison. A million times better. I'm going to be honest with you. I do think it is better than in New York. Physically, yes, for sure. And not to throw my own people under the bus. But, I lived on the Upper West Side, which I called Hobbit country. I would walk around on Broadway. I'd go, who are these people? Like, I mean, nobody was over 5'4". Yeah, I don't know. It's fun. I think also when you come in, especially at the beginning as an American, you're exotic. All of a sudden you're like a different kind of person here. So you have a little cachet, which I hope I still have some left. But yeah, it's been
Not
fun.
after this interview, Michelle. Not after this one.
I'm not worried about it, honestly. And I'm happy. Everything's good. I'm busy. I'll put it that way. So
Yeah.
that's good. Yeah.
In the shows coming up and all the shows you've done, do you have any pre-show rituals?
Ooh. No, I iron every hair in my head. Like this, my Sally Bowles wig, I got to iron. It's my hair, but what are my pre-show rituals? No, I really just want to go out there and just like have a 1,000,000% energy and bring people like an exciting, fun show.
Yeah, what does it still feel like to make people laugh on a daily basis? Is that still just as amazing as it's always been?
I think it's the only thing I know how to do. It sounds so cocky. Oh my god, delete
No,
that, but leave it. Delete
no,
it, but leave it.
no.
You know what the good thing is that one, obviously, like we're here together. If we're being funny, we can't hear people laughing. So I always say, like with the show, I'm in a vacuum. I can laugh with my guest. I know what's going to hit, but I never know what's like really going to connect. On stage for me, it's like almost a completely different art form, if you want to say that, because I'm so feeding off the energy of the crowd. And really, if the crowd is a bit flat, and I say this now going back to your Stockholm Taylor Swift concert, I'm sure it's a challenge for her and other performers when people aren't on their feet. Sarah McLachlan was hurting at the Hollywood Bowl. She wanted people during Adia, up with the arms up. Great song.
Well, wait, can I tell you something about Adia real quick? I
Yeah.
thought that concert was going to be all storyteller songs. Like, oh, when I wrote Possession, this is what I was going through. The only song she did that was with Adia. And I was like, oh, here we go, a story. And she goes, okay, so Adia, Adia was my best friend. And, she was with this man that, and unfortunately he cheated on her with me. And then we ended up having two kids. And she went on this long story where I've never heard a singer say, like, I've done this really bad thing. But she said, but we've reconnected now. And then she goes, like, Adia, I do believe I failed you. I was like, what? Adia is about you stealing this dude from your best friend? I had no idea.
Wow. You know what? That gives her an edge that I kind of like. That's like that Shania Twain energy. Remember, wasn't it Shania Twain? Who were the country stars who like swapped spouses?
It was
I think
Shania
it is.
Twain, but it wasn't her doing. Like her dude cheated first. It was Mutt Lang.
But then she got in with the husband of the
Yep.
woman. I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
that. That has me written all over it. That's fabulous.
That was the only time I stood up at the Sarah McLachlan concert. I was like, yes. All right. Cheating. Amazing.
I don't mind a cheating story. You know what? Good for her for being so upfront. Because what is the story going to be? What are her other songs? Possession, and I mean, she has like 100. I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, Possession. She's got the angel, like in the
Oh,
arms of an
Angel.
angel. She's got the
Oh, no one
dog
wants to hear that.
song. I will
Oh, the
remember
dog
you.
song. No one wants to hear that.
Yeah.
That's also sad. What's she going to be like? And this horrible thing happened anyway. This is like the one spicy story that she like trades off of. She's like, let me show these people that I know how to F.
Did not see it coming at all. Okay, how's your mom doing?
That's nice of you to ask. They're good. They're in South Florida. There were these crazy rainstorms last week. I don't know if you saw in the news that Miami was like underwater. Miami's a crazy place. It's like a different land altogether, but they're pretty good. They're happy. They have a cat. They're retired. They don't do much.
I look forward to her texts from you all the time if you ever
That's
share
nice.
them. I think they're amazing, and I hope you go on another cruise with your mom
Oh my
at some
God.
point.
Me too. I don't know I don't think they can. They're in their late 70s. Not to bring the mood down. Where's Sarah McLachlan? The story of this song is it's a song called Walker Texas Ranger, as my parents can't move. But no, they're not in great health. So even on the cruise, we went on a cruise last summer together to Norway and Iceland. Have you ever been there, by the way? It's beautiful.
Never, no.
Ryan, do you travel a lot?
No, I mean, I went to Japan and Spain. This was the first trip overseas I'd done since those. And I was like, why do I not do this more often? Like, I've got to travel more. It was so amazing.
What was Japan like?
Incredible. I've been there 4 times, and each time there was something. You can just go explore. Everybody's so nice. The only thing is, like, you're kind of like the big American, so they stay away from you in a sense. But like everything, their transit system is so easy to understand. It was the biggest joy to go there.
I have another question. Was there a reason you went 4 times or just because you love it?
My ex, she used to work out of Japan, so I was lucky enough. And then when she would work during the day, I would just go explore the different provinces and stuff. And she didn't really like to explore things anyway, so it was great. Like, I got to just go see the coolest places, eat the best food. It was really amazing.
It's genuinely my top dream is to go to Japan. I'm dying to go there. I actually want to do it before I leave here because it's like halfway already.
Yeah.
It's kind of on the way. So I'm like, okay, I need to figure that out. I have to save like 12 grand for a ticket. I'm going to go.
I know. You really got to go. I think you will love it. And I mean, by the way, do you have a travel book in you?
I have so many books in me, which sounds filthy, but I really have. I've got books and books and books in me. So I think I do. I have like a good travel tip book in me. Even maybe it's like a Substack. I don't know if it's worthy of a book, but yeah, I have some good stories for sure.
Okay, a couple quick questions before we let you
Yeah.
go. Would you do Traders? Because I would love to see you on Traders.
In a heartbeat.
Okay.
They'll never have me,
Okay.
but yeah, I would definitely. Are you kidding me? It would be.
Why would they never have you? You would be perfect on that show.
I only pray but I would go to Scotland in a heartbeat. I would love to be on that show because I do think I'd be good at figuring people out because although I did fail I tried to get a job at Urban Outfitters, and you know how they make you take a test, like if you're going to steal or not. So all these questions like, oh, if an elderly man took $5, would you put him in jail? And I didn't know how to answer things, and I failed that test. So maybe I'm not good. I was trying to like outthink the test, you know what I mean? And I failed it, and they didn't hire me. So maybe I'm not good at it. But I would be a horrible traitor, is the truth. I would be a good faithful.
Yeah, that's the thing too, is that I don't think I could do a trader, but I think I would love to see if I could do a faithful. I love all the different versions and iterations of traders.
Yes.
Except the second season of Australia sucks if you ever don't watch the second season.
Did a woman win it? I think I saw it, actually.
But it's bad. Like they get like Hannah from Below Deck. Anna Farrier's on it. Like the casting is so weird the second season because the first season was so strong. Survivor, I know you're a fan of. Do you want to see, like, this past season of Survivor, I thought was such a weird mess in terms of the fandom has almost overtaken the game. Do you have any suggestions on how to improve Survivor, or do you like the way it's going?
Wow. Well, listen, because my mom and I talk about Survivor on my show. We do a show once a week together. And my mother's suggestion, which I kind of have to agree with, is they have to get rid of Jeff. I think I know that he's like the heart of the show, but he's almost become like the Wizard of Oz. Like it's just too much. He's getting a little too cocky for me there. I don't like now he's like bringing a Twizzler to Tribal and having them split a Twizzler. Kind of sick. What is this, Saw 3? Like these people are starving, you know? I'm just like, what are we doing here? This is like for $1 million. Like get it together. I think they can get rid of Jeff. And you know, I'm stealing this idea from other people, but I agree with it, which is that they have to bring villains back, because I think CBS took this turn of bringing a lot of like really like what was Badu? What was that guy's Banu? What was the guy's name?
Banu.
Banu, like God bless him, a sweet man, but just terrible TV, stole focus in the worst way. No, we need to get like the Robs back, the Tonys, the Ruperts, like bring those guys back.
And he was out there going, I want to win 1 million hearts. You do not have my heart now. Like, that's why you came on here. You're one of the worst game players I've ever seen. It's like so weird that you're on this. Like the fact that you're a fan of this show, yet you don't know how it works is like beyond me. The fandom eats itself. I feel like these people know way too much about Survivor at this point where it makes it not fun.
I agree. Like bring Sandra's back, bring those kind of people back. They should put Banu on the Traders though. How funny would that? He'd be sobbing. Banu on the Traders. He would be like laid flat on the couch.
Alan coming like, Banu, what's wrong with you, buddy? Like, come on. Yeah.
No, they'd medevac him out in the first 2 hours. He'd be like, I can't do it. I'm sorry. It's too emotional. No.
Listen, this is such a treat for me. I'm so sorry. I'm under the weather. I could go on and on. We didn't hit 30 topics, but hopefully I'll get to talk to you again at some point down the line. Sure. I do want to remind people though, MichelleCollinsLive.com is where you can get tickets to her shows and also sign up for her Patreon where she does daily shows. It is just a couple bucks a month to get her every day in your ears. What else is coming up? How do we support you? Because I truly feel you are one of the voices of our generation, and I cannot always wait to see what you're doing next.
I'm not kidding you. Literally some of the nicest things ever said to me. I can't thank you enough. It's very sweet. Nothing. Listen, go follow me on Instagram at Mishcall. Everything you said sounded like a threat. Like for just a few bucks a month, you can hear her every day. No, that sounds horrible. Like don't even do it. No, but you
can include the Sarah McLachlan music slowly underneath this.
Start playing Adia while I'm talking about all my ventures. I have the Patreon, obviously. Instagram at Mishcall, MICHCOLL. Ryan, please come guest co-host my show this summer. I'd love to have you.
Anytime. So you guys promise me you will go see this show. 4 nights coming up at the Soho Theater. I will continue to post this on my Instagram and just DM me if you need more information. Michelle Collins, it was an honor. Thank you so much.
Ryan, you're the best. Thank you for having me. I'll see you soon.